practice. And I wanted to share that with all of you. I know some of you know me and some of you don't. I'm Dr. Julie McLaughlin, and I welcome all of you. I'm very happy you're all here, and it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Barry Anderson.
Wow. All right, so it's interesting. I get to speak at a lot of things, and I was recently in March. I was speaking at CalJam, and there's 3,000 chiros there, so it was a big audience. And I'm more, I don't want to say freaked out, but more stressed out about tonight than when I had to speak in front of 3,000 people, which is really crazy, right? Because as I was trying to put together my talk for this evening, I was, you know, the respect that I have for Dane and the program that he put together, and Julie and what she does and the program that she does, it was like, I don't want to let these guys down. I mean, this is a big deal just because they mean so much to me, and I didn't want to let them down. So I was thinking, what am I going to talk to everybody about? And nothing was really winning, right? I'd work on a talk, and then I was like, they're not going to want that one. And what I realized was, you know, I talk about health, I talk about wellness, the things you need to do to become healthy, and I realized anything I wanted to talk about with you guys, you already know. I don't have anything new for you. You know it. Like, you all know that if you were to eat better food, you'd be healthier, right? You know that. You don't need me to tell you that having an apple is better than a candy bar. You know that to be true. And you also don't need me to tell you that, you know, if we were to exercise more, we'd be healthier. You know that, right? So if we were to maybe exercise for 10 minutes before we sit on the couch and eat a bag of Doritos, I'll probably be healthier than if I didn't do that, right? We know that. And then I also know that, you know, if we were to change our thoughts and think about things that were positive and empowering, and we were to do that, we would be healthier. Not a shock. So you all know that. So I was thinking, what am I going to talk to these people about? They're giving up their night for this. I've got to give them something. So I figured what I would do is I would tell you my story. And then from there we can move on. So the story begins in September. So in September I'm playing hockey. And I love hockey. It's just, that's my passion. And I'm a goalie. And this one night I took a shot and I blocked the shot and I let up a rebound. And as a goalie, you don't want to let up a rebound. It's just not a good, unless you intentionally do it, but you don't want to let up a rebound. So the puck's sitting out here in front of me, and I've got to cover this thing before they try to get it past me. And I dive forward and I cover it with my glove. And when I hit that ice, I felt this tremendous pain in my upper back. I was like, wow, that hurts, right? But if you ever played hockey, you know people who play hockey, you're not allowed to quit, are you? You can't, right? I mean, as a hockey player, my leg would get cut off, and a guy on the team would come by and tape a stick to the stump and say, let's go. That's what hockey is, you know? So I'm playing through, I've got this pain, I'm like, man, this is good, but I got to play. So now it's the next day, I'm in my office, still a lot of pain, but I have to leave that night for Austin, Texas, because I'm giving a seminar in Austin. So I get to Austin, still in pain, and that night I'm in bed, and my wife looks over and I'm drenched in sweat. And she's like, what's going on? I said, I don't know, this pain is horrible. I cannot believe how bad this pain is. And so I go through the seminar and I get back to the office on Monday, and I'm working in the office on Monday, and my staff are like, Doc, you just aren't yourself. You just seem like something's going on. I'm like, yeah, I'm in a lot of pain. So I order an MRI. So I go to the MRI place, and I order it for my mid-back. I got to see what's going on here. So I order the MRI, and it's not very comfortable laying on that thing with this pain. And I'm laying there, and then they slide me out, and I'm like, cool, I can go home. He said, hey, Doc, you know, we're going to do your neck and your low back too. Like, ugh. So they slide me back in, and they do my neck, my mid-back, and my low back. And now they get done, and they say, Doc, do you mind if we do it again? I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? So now I'm there 2 hours to have this test. So they finally wheel me out of this thing, and the guy says, well, the radiologist here wants to talk to you. So now I'm really happy. I'm thinking, cool, I don't have to wait for the report. I'm going to get what I need, and I can move on. So I go into his office, and he's got the view box up with the x-ray, and you can see it from a mile away. You can see it. And so I look at it, and I look at him, and he says to me, it looks like you have lytic Mets. Now, what lytic Mets is, if you don't know, is I've got cancer. And the cancer is spread from wherever it was into my spine. And so he showed me, he said, you've got cancer, and he went throughout my spine. So my cervical spine, my thoracic spine, my lumbar spine. He said, you're loaded with cancer. And I was thinking to myself, well, that sucks, right? Not really what I wanted to hear on a Tuesday morning, but hey, what are you going to do? So I get in my car, and I call the hospital. So I call Silver Cross and I say, hey, I need to get a CT done, all right, and I need to get a full body, and I want to get it over there now. You got to get me. And then I threw around the doctor thing. It's funny what you can get done when you throw around the doctor thing. So like, doc, come right over. So I get in there, I get my CAT scan, and I get the results back. And the results say, you have lytic mets. But the unfortunate thing is, it isn't just in my spine. The cancer is also in my sternum, in my ribs, my scapula. I've got so many tumors in my lungs I can't count them. I've got and then in my hip and in my left leg, in my thigh. And it's interesting because the one in my thigh, the tumor is growing around the blood supply. So what it feels like when I stand for a long time, when I travel, when I fly, every now and then it's like someone goes up to you and they slice you with a razor blade. That's what that feels like. Now what lytic mets feels like, I'm getting somewhere with all of this, but I got to lay the foundation for you. And what lytic mets feels like is you're walking down the street and someone says, you're having a great day. Let me break a bone. Because with lytic mets, what happens is the cancer destroys the bone from within. So it's like snapping a bone. So that's that pain that I was feeling with the sweat. My wife was like, why can't you sleep? Well, because that's what I was experiencing. I was experiencing this pain. But here's the interesting thing about the human body. The human body is great at dealing with pain. So as they would break this bone, you kind of get used to it. And you're like, well, I can kind of deal with that. And then if body says, well, why are you getting used to it? Let's break another bone. And that's pretty much the joy of having lytic mets and cancer. So now I'm thinking, well, I've got to figure out what type of cancer this is. So now I have to go get a bone biopsy. And so with the bone biopsy, what they do is they drill into my shoulder, and then they pull the bone, and that feels like you would think it would feel like. Okay? Yeah, I don't care that's not fun. So they do that, and what they find is that I've got leiomyosarcoma. Now, leiomyosarcoma is a very, very, very rare cancer. It's highly aggressive, and the weird thing about leiomyosarcoma is it typically affects women. So I guess I'm the original Caitlyn Jenner. I don't know. Too early for that joke? But yeah, it typically affects women. It's a tumor that comes from the endometrium. And the last time, I haven't been pregnant in a long time, but the last time I think I was good. So I've got this, and I'm thinking, well, gosh, what do I do, right? I know what I've got, and what are my options? So I go to the oncologist. And now the oncologist, I'm meeting with him, and he says to me, well, you've got leiomyosarcoma. I go, yeah, I know. He said, you're stage 4, and if you have to start chemotherapy, you've got 3 months to live. So imagine when you hear, I've got 3 months to live. And he said, so we need to start chemotherapy, we need to be aggressive, and we need to start tomorrow. Because if we don't, you're going to die. And if we do the chemotherapy, we can get you an extra 2 months. 2 months, right? So I said to him, well, let me see if I've got this right, doc. I've got 3 months to live, I've got 5 months to live if you do chemo, but if you do chemo, you're going to put poison into my body because the poison kills the cancer, right? And he said, yeah, the poison will kill the cancer. I said, but does the poison just kill the cancer, or does it kill my healthy cells and destroy my immune system? He said, well, it'll kill the healthy cells, but that's just collateral damage. I'm thinking, collateral damage? So then I said to him, well, that doesn't sound real good, right? And I said, well, what's your success rate with chemotherapy? He said, well, 10%. I said, wait a minute. So what you're telling me is you're gonna destroy my healthy cells, you're going to destroy my immune system, make me incredibly sick for an extra 2 months, and with all of that, I've got a 90% chance that it'll either be the same or worse. He's like, well, yeah. I said, I'm sorry. That doesn't make sense. I can't do that. It doesn't jive with who I am. And so what he realizes here is he realizes he's losing the sale. Because isn't that what he's doing? He's selling me on this idea that that's what it takes to be healthy. I'm sorry, but putting a poison and putting these drugs in my body does not make me healthy. Right? It doesn't make me well. It doesn't at all. It can't. It defies logic. So he realizes he's losing the sale, and it's important that he gets the sale because my cancer is worth anywhere from $300,000 to $1 million. He's going to do what he can to get me in there. So now what he does is he stops speaking to me and he turns to my wife. And he says to my wife, you have to understand, if you want your husband around, he has to do chemo. He's only got 3 months to live. And he's got 5, we can give you an extra 2 months if he does this. but he's got to do this or he's going to die. And I look over to my wife, and what do I see? I just see this hurt, right? I mean, none of you have met my wife, but I am blessed. I have a wonderful, wonderful wife. It's incredible. I don't deserve a woman like her. She's incredible. And I could just see the pain in her. And her eyes, they're filling up with tears. And all I want to do, right, when you love someone, what do you want to do? You want to take away the pain. That's all I want to do. And I'm sitting there, and I'm hearing this news, and I'm looking at my wife, and she says to me, I think you should do it. And she's doing it from a place from her heart because she loves me. She doesn't want to lose me. I don't know what's wrong with her, but she does, right? She wants me around. I mean, we all got our issues. And so she says, I think you should do it. And I said, okay, I will. Because all I wanted to do was help her, right? So they set me up for the chemotherapy appointment, which was to be the next day. And we went to dinner that night. And I want to let you know, probably the worst dinner I ever had in my life. Not that the food was bad, it wasn't that good, but it was a terrible dinner because what happened at that dinner, the dinner was, let's put my affairs in order. I'm only going to be here 3, maybe 5 months. I don't want it to be difficult on you. So here's what we need to do. Horrible dinner. I wouldn't recommend that dinner to anybody. It just sucks. And so the wonderful thing, though, is thank God there's always another day. That's the beautiful thing about life. There's always another day. Because when I woke up the next day, I realized something. I don't have to do that. Because it doesn't make sense. But I know I need to do something. And what's really interesting is I've known Dane for years. And prior to this, you know, I knew, when I started, I said, we all know what we need to do. I knew what I needed to do to be healthy. The problem was, I didn't have enough time, right? I was too busy to do what I knew. I was too busy to eat right. I was too busy to think right. I was busy watching TV. I was too busy just going to work. You know, I was living 1 year of my life 99 times is what I was doing. And it's a shame that we do that. And it's a shame that it takes us to get cancer to realize, why don't I live 99 years? But instead I'm one year 99 times. And I knew this, and I knew what Dane had, but I never had time. And I know Dane has the wellness score. And he'd say, you know, do a wellness score. Never did a wellness score. Why not? I knew I should do one. Didn't have enough time. Everything else takes precedence. Everything else is more important. And sometimes in those nights when you're just sitting there thinking about life, I wonder, what if I did that test? Maybe I would have found out before I was stage 4. But I didn't, because everything else takes priority. Everything else is more important. Well, so I figured I've got to do something. I need some guidance in terms of, I know what I need to do, but I also need some guidance and someone that will help me do and keep me on track. And so, you know, one of the people I turn to, which you're going to be hearing tonight, is Dane. He's brilliant, and then Julie. And so Julie, I've known Julie. I don't know how long we've known one another. Is it 2 years or 1 year? 2 years. And I know the results that she gets with her patients, and I know how much she cares, and I know how bright she is, and I know she does all of this stuff that I knew about, but didn't have time for. And so I called Julie, and I said, Julie, help me out. And so she said, well, the first thing we need to do is we need some blood work. We got to get a baseline of where we're at. So as Julie sends me to get blood work, and I'm on the chair and I'm getting the blood work, and I don't know what, 900 vials. It was insane. All this blood's coming out, and the whole time I'm thinking, what did I do to you? I mean, why? I mean, she's like Elvira, mistress of the dark. I don't know what it is, but all this blood's coming. I'm surprised I was able to stand. But I'll tell you what, it was thorough. She did an amazing job of the blood work that I need. Incredible job of the blood work that I need. And I got my results back, and what do my results show? They show the results you would expect for a guy with stage 4 cancer in 3 months to live. So now I'm thinking, well, what do I do? I've got 12 weeks of life left, because I'm not doing chemo. I got 12 weeks. What am I going to do? Well, gee, maybe I can find time for 8 weeks. Right? I'll do the right thing for 8 weeks. If it doesn't work, what the hell? 4 weeks to have fun. Right? Now all of a sudden I have the time, don't I? And it's interesting how things make you do the right thing. And what really is frustrating sometimes that I realize I wish I would have took the time. I wish I would have done the things I knew to do. Because right now, when I leave here tonight, there was nothing more that I would like to do than go home with my wife and sit in the backyard and have a glass of wine. But I can't. because wine has sugar in it. And cancer loves sugar. And if you want to give cancer Thanksgiving dinner, eat sugar. Which always surprises me when I go to the oncologist's office, he has a bowl of candy. I know it's funny, but it's scary, isn't it? Every time I see it, it's like I get so angry. I'm like, I can't believe what you're doing here. You're feeding what you're trying to kill. And you know, I used to love ice cream. That was my weakness. My weakness was ice cream. And I'm such a boring guy. I like vanilla. I love vanilla ice cream. That was my thing. I'll never have a taste of ice cream again because I couldn't find the time. And I knew what I needed to do, but I couldn't find the time. And so anyway, I got my blood work, and it was what you would expect. So I'm doing the right thing now. I'm finally doing what I know. And I have great guidance, and I have great role models. I mean, Dane and Julie, and I'm doing what I need to do. 4 weeks later, Julie sends me for more blood work. I think you added some tubes, because it seemed like there was even more. And so they're taking all the blood out. 4 weeks, I get my results back. What did it show? Every single abnormal value in my blood work was normal. Every single one of them. 4 weeks of doing the right thing. I found the time, didn't I? I was able to change my physiology in 4 weeks. So now, I show it to the oncologist, and the oncologist says, who ordered this blood work? I said, my friend Julie, the chiropractor. He goes, this is incredible blood work. Not in terms of my results. It was incredible in the workup that she did. He was so amazed. And I had 3 different doctors comment on the thoroughness of what she ordered. And I'm thinking to myself, why didn't you do that? Because you knew that, right? He knew. Why didn't he do it? Because she cares. And Julie did what she knew was the right thing to do. Just like we should do what we do, what we know to do every single day. So, he says to me, let's run another CAT scan. I said, I'm not ready to run a CAT scan yet. I'm only 4 weeks into what I'm doing. Right? We got time, Doc, I guess. I still got 8 weeks left. But I got 4 weeks of doing the right thing. So, we go another 4 weeks. Now I do another CAT scan. Guess what it shows? Of just changing the way that I eat, the way that I think, the way that I move. Just doing the program. And I mean, I did extra, of course, but doing the program that these guys created, what had happened? I get my CAT scan back, and he says, this is incredible. Some of your tumors are gone. Now, with leiomyosarcoma, tumors do not go away. Leiomyosarcoma is you get your cancer, you die. That's how it works. That's the rule. Things don't go away. So he said, some of your tumors are gone. He said, some of your tumors have actually shrunk. And some have gotten larger. He said, I'm really concerned about these ones that got larger. And I said, well, wait a minute, Doc. Are some of them gone? He said, yeah. I said, that's pretty good, isn't it? Well, yeah. I go, some of them have shrunk? Well, yeah. Is that good? Well, yeah, that's good. But these are larger. You got to do chemo. You must do chemo. I said, Doc, could I have gotten these results doing chemo? He said, no, you can't. And then he said, I said to him, well, you don't understand something. You don't understand it takes time for your physiology to catch up. I can't take 49 years of not doing what I know to be right and expect it in 8 weeks to be 100%. Not going to happen. But we can see the positive that's happening, right? And so I said to him, I'm not going to do that. My physiology has not caught up yet. It will. I have to give it time. So no matter what label they give you, diabetes, obesity, cardiac disease, all these things are labels. And why am I going to take a drug when all I can do is I can change what I do and make a difference in my life? So that's where we're at that stage. So now everything is doing better, and I've got to continue the journey because I don't want to die. I don't want my wife to not have me around, right? I have to continue doing what I'm doing. And actually, outside of pain, doing the right thing, doing what we know, I've never felt better in my life. So, oftentimes I'll ask my patients, I'll say, what do you see in your life? What do you see later on, when you're ready to hit the end? That last chapter of your life, the day that you finally have to close your eyes and you move into that next chapter. What do you see? And when I ask my patients this, it's one of the saddest things I ever hear. Because they'll say to me, Well, I see a life of misery. I'm already on 5 drugs and every side effect that goes along with them. I've already got heart disease. I've had 2 heart attacks. I've already got cancer. I've got whatever it is. And they say, and I have older patients that say to me, why do they call these the golden years? Because they're not golden. They're misery. It's so sad when I hear this because I think it doesn't have to be. It's never too late. I don't care what they tell you. I don't care where you're at in your journey. It's never too late. And so I asked this one time to a patient, and she said to me, you know, Doc, it's a great question. This is what I envision. I'm going to be 95 years old, and I'm going to be with my husband, who, by the way, is also going to be 95. And we're going to walk along hand in hand, and we're going to walk along a beach. And I'm sitting back in my chair. I'm like, this is incredible. And I'm loving listening to this story. And she's like, we're going to walk along the beach hand in hand, and our children and our grandchildren are going to be with us. And they're going to be laughing and smiling. And we're going to share all the things that we've done. And we're just going to relive the wonderful life that we had. And we're just going to relish in that. And then we're going to find a spot on the beach, and we're going to sit down. And when we sit down, we're going to look out into the ocean, and we're going to see the sun. And we're all just going to be there just with the rays coming on us, enjoying everything. And the sun's going to start to go down, and then it's going to get below the horizon and behind the ocean where we can't see the sun anymore. And that's when we're going to lay down, holding one another's hands, lay back in the sand, close our eyes, and move on to that next journey. What a way to go, right? I mean, I almost had tears in my eyes as she's telling me this, and you know what? This woman is going to do it. And, you know, she's since moved to New Mexico, so I haven't kept in touch with her, but I know she'll do it because she's doing what she knows. She knows that she needs to do the things to be healthy. She's spending the time to do the things so that at the end, that's her life. Okay, so all I want you to do is, if everyone could just raise your hands. And I want you to leave them up. You know what I love about being able to raise my right hand? When this all started, I couldn't raise my arm. So I'm really happy. That's why I'm making you do it. I'm showing off. Okay. Could everybody, then leave your hand up if you can do this. Can all of you decide to do one thing healthier tomorrow or tonight than you did yesterday or today? Awesome. Now, leave them up. Could all of you tomorrow choose to eat just one better thing than you ate today? Awesome. Now, I'll keep them up. Can all of you decide tomorrow to maybe instead of parking in the 4th spot from the door, park in the 5th spot so you can get a little bit of extra exercise? Can you all do that? Awesome. And then tomorrow morning when you wake up, can you all just say one positive thing about yourself before you even roll out of that bed? Can you all do that? Awesome. You can put your arms down. It's not that hard, is it? Because all I ask you to do is one little thing. One little thing. Park in the 5th spot, not the 4th spot. Say, I'm awesome. Rather than, shoot, this is going to be another one of those days. It's not that complicated. We just have to make the decision to do it. You know, so, you know, and now there's one more thing I want you to do, is I want everybody to close your eyes, because I'm going to tell you, I want you to go to your happy channel. I'll tell you why I want you to do this. So everybody close your eyes, and I want you to think about that person in your life who, as soon as you see them or think of them, you get the biggest smile on your face. It just means everything to your heart and your soul. You got that person? Okay, good. You can open your eyes now. The reason I wanted you to think of that person is because in my happy channel, that person is my wife. And here's the problem. When they told me I had 3 months to live, and I saw the pain in her eyes, I realized something. I caused that pain. I caused that pain because I didn't do what I know to do. And because I didn't do what I know to be right, and because I couldn't find the time, I had to see the pain in her eyes. And every night when I have difficulty trying to fall asleep because of the pain, and I see her looking over, I realize I did that. So if we're not willing to make the change for us, do it for that person. Because I'll tell you what, if they were in this room and I asked this same question, I bet you're who came up in their mind. And I would bet you they would hate you not to be here. And they would hate to see you suffer. So if we won't do it for us, do it for them. It'll make you feel great. So the thing is, like I said earlier, I don't care what they tell you you've got. Heart disease, obesity, diabetes, cancer, I don't care what it is, it's never too late. It's never too late. I am heading into my 11th month of my 3-month life. Every single one of you can do it. Just because you have a label doesn't mean anything. And if you won't do it for you, do it for that person that you pictured, because they love you just as much. So I'm out of time, but thank you.